For most of the 20th century, if you wanted to keep a moment, a birthday, a wedding, a child's first steps, you reached for a small yellow box. On the side, one word, Kodak. It began with a man named George Eastman, who in 1888 put a simple camera into ordinary hands with one brilliant promise. You press the button, we do the rest. Before Kodak, photography belonged to professionals. After Kodak, it belonged to everyone. And the real genius wasn't the camera, it was the film inside it. Eastman sold the cameras cheap, because every photograph anyone took, anywhere on Earth, came back to Kodak to be developed, on Kodak film, with Kodak chemicals, on Kodak paper. They didn't sell a product, they sold a habit, 100 million times a day. By 1976, Kodak controlled 90% of all films sold in the United States and 85% of the cameras. It was a monopoly, and one people genuinely loved. They even gave it a name. A perfect, irreplaceable memory became known as a Kodak moment. At its height, Kodak employed more than 145,000 people. In 1996, it earned $16 billion in a single year. It looked unstoppable, and it had already invented the very thing that would destroy it. In 1975, in a lab in Rochester, New York, a 24-year-old engineer named Steven Sasson was handed a small, almost throwaway assignment. Find out if there was anything useful you could do with a new kind of electronic sensor. What he built over the next year had never existed before. It was the size of a toaster. It weighed 8 pounds. It took 23 seconds to capture a single black and white image at a resolution of 1/100th of a megapixel. And it recorded that image not onto film, but onto a cassette tape. It was crude, it was slow, and it was, without any question, the first digital camera ever made. Steven Sasson had just invented the future of photography, inside the company that ruled the present of photography. So he showed it to management. And here, in his own words, is what happened. It was filmless photography, Sasson later recalled, so management's reaction was, "That's cute, but don't tell anyone about it." Don't tell anyone. Kodak held the future in its hands in 1975, decades before anyone else. And its very first instinct was to keep it quiet. To understand why, you have to understand the trap Kodak was in. A trap built entirely out of its own success. Film wasn't just Kodak's product. Film was Kodak's fortune. By 1990, more than 70% of the company's profits came from it. Every roll sold, every print developed, was pure, high-margin gold. And a digital photo destroys all of it. No film, no developing, no paper, no chemicals. For any other company on Earth, Sasson's invention was an opportunity. For Kodak, it was a loaded gun pointed straight at the most profitable business it had. So Kodak did something remarkable. It didn't ignore digital, it patented it. In 1978, Kodak was granted one of the first patents for a digital camera. Then, it locked the technology away and kept selling film. It would own the future on paper, while doing everything it could to delay the day that future actually arrived. It was a decision that for a while made them billions, and it was a decision that in the end would cost them everything. For 2 decades, the strategy held, but you cannot patent a tide, and by the late 1990s, the tide was coming in. Everyone else, Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fujifilm, was racing into digital. The cameras shrank, the pictures sharpened, the prices fell, and one by one, people simply stopped buying film. Kodak saw it happening. They even built good digital cameras of their own, but they could never bring themselves to truly commit, because every digital camera Kodak sold cannibalized the film business it was addicted to. They were trying to win a race with one foot nailed to the floor. Then came the phone. When the camera moved into the device in everyone's pocket, the standalone film business didn't just decline, it evaporated. The Kodak moment had become a tap on a glass screen with no yellow box anywhere in sight. The company that taught the world to take pictures had been left behind by a world that now took trillions of them. The rest of the story is in the numbers, and they are brutal. Kodak's revenue, $16 billion at its peak, collapsed. Its stock, once a blue-chip cornerstone of the American economy, slid toward pennies. The factories that had printed the memories of the 20th century went quiet. On January 19, 2012, Eastman Kodak, 131 years old, the company that invented popular photography and then invented digital photography, filed for bankruptcy. A workforce that once topped 145,000 would shrink to a few thousand. And here is the cruelest irony in the whole story. Kodak wasn't killed by a rival it never saw coming. It was killed by a machine it built with its own hands in 1975 and chose to bury. They didn't lose because they failed to invent the future. They lost because they invented it and were too frightened of it to let it out. But there's a final piece to this, and it proves the collapse was never inevitable. Kodak had a mirror image on the other side of the world. Fujifilm, the same business, the same product, the same digital wave crashing toward it. By every right, Fujifilm should have died the same death. Instead, it did the one thing Kodak couldn't. It let go. Fujifilm took the chemistry it had perfected making film and turned itself into something new: cosmetics, healthcare, advanced materials. It accepted that film was finished and went looking for what came next. Today, Fujifilm is bigger than it ever was. Kodak is a cautionary tale. Because the lesson of Kodak isn't that it missed the future. It saw the future more clearly and far earlier than almost anyone alive. The lesson is harder than that. The hardest thing in business isn't inventing what comes next. It's being willing to destroy what you already have before someone else does it for you. Kodak held the future in its hands in 1975. Its last, fatal mistake was deciding the future could wait. It couldn't.